Hello to you all, whenever, wherever. So, today is going to be a little bit different. So, I decided to do a little video because I'm not sure I can write that all. So, first of all, it will be about the times we come into, but it's the same or similar, of course, every year, or the energies that I will talk about that part of the zodiac. That's how it is, yeah. But I want to emphasize now because it's about this current time, because of where the earth is going through. Yeah, I like to do the heliocentric charts, and so we can actually see where earth is, because we tend to forget that. Yeah, we actually we stand on her all the time. We born here, and so but we look up, we see the sun, and we forget to look at where stands earth in the broader view. Yeah, so that's why I like to use the heliocentric charts. But of course, earth and any planet or anything that revolves around a center point is always opposite that center point. Yeah, always. So when we talk about this axis in perspective to the ecliptic, we always stand exactly opposite earth and sun. So it's an axis. The sun gives emphasis, it illuminates, and the earth is our ground, is the root where we act on, where we live on, where everything happens. So we shouldn't leave that out, right? So let us have a little overview, yeah, with that on this side, NASA side, yeah, and then I will explain a few of the astrological things we will be going through. So I hope that works like this. Yeah, okay. So you can see here on that NASA side this overview, right? We see the sun, the center, right? We see Venus. Here is Earth. Yeah. And many other. We have asteroids, but we also have satellites and stuff. And here he have Vesta. Yeah. Eros. Ceres. We go further out, we see Jupiter and a comet. So yeah, so you see, when we look from afar, it's different. And so when we look from the sun, it's always opposite, right? Earth is always opposite. And so it's a cycle, an axis within the cycle, yeah. And even so, we go like this, and the sun is actually, well, travels very fast, but from our perspective, the sun is always at the same point because we go around it, right? So that's what happens, always that opposition, that axis. And so Earth, as I made a whole video about, does have her own cross, right? So that means the equinox and the solstice axis, but there is more, right? There is also the perihelion and the aphelion, and that means when we are closest to the earth or furthest to the sun, or furthest away from the sun is aphelion. And in astrology we can say the aphelion is the intention, the home, and perihelion is most influential. But yeah, so here we have intention, and here we set that intention into motion, if you want. And the equinox and solstice axis are somewhere in between. Sometimes they are very close or even aligned. That happened before, but now they are just like the solstice axis is very close, but it's keep moving away because they were almost the same place in the 13th century, but now moving apart. So that is the information behind it. But so now, where does actually the earth stands? Because we always look where the sun stands, yeah, in the normal view and what we can see from earth, right? So we just have to think it's opposite, yeah. And when we look up, and if we could actually see the stars during that time, then it would appear as the sun will be in Sagittarius during the next new moon, or no, that's not right, during the next solstice, I wanted to say. So the next new moon will be on 4th of December 2021. So, and then the solstice will be on 21st of December, and then the perihelion on 4th of January 2022. And so that shift, or that part of the heavens we will go through is actually from Taurus into Gemini. Yeah, we will have the new moon past middle of Taurus, and then we will have the perihelion in past middle of Gemini, the Earth there, and of course the Sun opposite in Sag. So this is what we actually can view, because we can view the sun, or better said, at night, the moon. So I would suggest you go out and you look at the moon when there is a full moon, and you try to identify the stars or the constellation you see, and then you will notice that it's not where classic astrology tells you it to be. So that's why I use another zodiac to be enabled to use the actual viewable positions. And so that's why it's Taurus Gemini versus the other side, Scorpio Sag, or Ophiuchus. Yeah. So that's where we go through. But what does that mean? So now the earth is like our ground, our foundation, where we manifest, where we do. And it's always the opposite side is like the higher octave of that, right? So it's like it's in Gemini we have the daily life, what we what we have here, and in Sag it's the higher viewpoints, the ideals, and so, but it's the same, it's an axis, right? It's just the opposite poles of the same theme, yeah. And so in Taurus we have a lot about the self-worth and how we we interact, how we mirror, what we mirror out, what we get back, etc. Yeah, and it's just in in Scorpio, it's really the deep hidden within and what we need to master in order that this reflection comes into let's say a nice stream, that it becomes beneficial instead of poisoning. And that's what it is about. It's a lot about Scorpio is said to be very critical, yeah, and very but it also brings out what is hidden. So it said that Scorpio Sun people, they tend to illuminate the taboos. They will bring that to the table. They are not afraid to hide that. So they bring that out. But when we see it, we also have to work with it. We have to master it. Yeah, if we dwell on it, then we focus on it and we get more of that. And yeah, but if we suppress it, then we kind of let's say poison ourselves from within, because we don't give it the attention it deserves. Because we know, it sounds strange, I know, but maybe you remember the water experiments by Masuto and Moto. He I show you. He made some really interesting experiments. I have to change the site here. He made experiments with water, and he talked to the water, or to, for example, also rice, and then observed what would happen. Yeah, so like you see all these crystals here, that's frozen water. He did take drops of water, but only clear, activated, let's say alive water that is alive, and did talk to it or played music and all kinds of things, and then shock froze it, and then photographed the crystals that were formed by the water. And so depending what kind of words were spoken to those water drops, were then forming some kind of crystals, and some were harmonious and some not, depending which words or which frequency was actually used. So, and the same thing happened with rice. Yeah, I don't have the right picture, but there were various people obviously who did also do this experiment. It's when, here for example, when you say, when you give love or appreciation, gratitude, and so on to the rice, it becomes nourishing and it's good to eat, right? But if you say negative things to the rice, or even neglect it or something, it starts to rot and it becomes poisoning. I'm sorry for that, I forgot to switch off the tone. So that's the thing about the direct influence we have on everything, on water, on rice, on food. That's why we bless food, right, before we eat it. But now imagine we are made of, I don't remember, 70 or 80% out of water. So if we talk or think not good about ourselves, we are poisoning ourselves. And if we neglect us in anything, with any themes, the good and the bad, it's poisoning us. We are poisoning ourselves. And we can't come into harmony with anything. So this is, I think, very important. So Earth will go through Taurus, or that second half of Taurus. We are now already there, but with the December new moon, we will be at around 17 degrees, and then move on. A few days after that, Earth will be at the shield of Orion. Now, that shield of Orion is a very interesting point, because you see, the Orions, they are the architects of our foundation. So it means we make the blueprint, we make the plan of what we are going to be or to build. Yeah, so it's in this time, and the shield is like where we decide what we take to with us for that new blueprint, and what we leave. So that's very, very important. That's why we have I have always talked also about this shadow work, about the mirroring that we see, and we have to decide. And now with in around June, with the solstice, and beginning of July with the Perihelion, I said we had, maybe you remember that post, yeah? I said it's like we had that grand trine, and I said it was like a self-fulfilling, yeah, in the sense of whatever decision we felt, we will feel in harmony with it, because, yeah, in whatever, with whatever, you know. And then with the September equinox, it was about coming into a preparational time to with the body, with our feelings, with everything, yeah, to finalize some problems, and look at things, and pains, and all this shadow work stuff, but also on the good things, you know, like what good things do we want, and what attachments do we have to them. I mean, a good thing can be anything, right? But if we have too extreme attachments to it, it becomes like more like an addiction, and that's not so good either. But we also have to look at what good we have in the sense of abilities or talents. You know, if we do something all the time against our very own talents, then this will, like a muscle, it just disappears, or it actually becomes, when we act against our own wants and can'ts, then we rot inside. We make ourselves ill, because we go against ourselves. And so we have to look at all these things, and we define, and we build up values, and the picture about ourselves, and so on and so on. Yeah, but also about the outside world. Yeah, because one is the reflection of the other, right? So um, there at the shield, we decide what goes with us, and what we say. Okay, uh, I'm grateful, I know that, I see you, I acknowledge that, whatever, but yeah, I thank you, I let you go, i I do something else. And with that, we go over, yeah, to the architect's Orion, and above, so further up. So Orion is a little bit below the ecliptic, and a bit above. There we see Auriga. Yeah, that's the charioteer. And so that brings strength, it brings confidence. Yeah. So they go well together, right? So we come then in that planning foundational space of Orion, of the architects. Yeah. On the other side, we have, that's still the Taurus side, like yeah, and then the Gemini side is more, we have Betelgeuse as well. That's more a warrior archetype. So it's where we start to put things into action then. Yeah, but don't forget, okay, it's a blueprint. It's not meant that nothing can be changed, but a change later is much harder to accomplish. It needs much more strength and willpower and everything than it does before. And I think that may have something to do why it is for many of us so hard that make a when we put an intention out on New Year's Eve. Yeah, we may not really go through with it very often. Yeah, there are people, they may have that actual willpower and bite it through. Yeah, but most of the time we set an intention, but then maybe for a short time, and then it's too hard, right? So I'm sure you all had that experience at least once in your life. So okay, so we have to set that before. Yeah. So then we will go on, and actually with the December solstice on the 21st, we will reach that 4 degrees 41 minutes and a few seconds of Gemini for the solstice. And that means it's very close to the galactic equatorial node, but it's also close or under the North celestial pole. So again, a big influence there. And it's at the feet of Gemini. The feet of Gemini, of the twins, they stand on the galactic equator. And the heads, Castor and Pollux, they are at the very end of the sign or constellation of Gemini. And so that perihelion will be at around 18 degrees on 4th of December, 4th of January 2022. So it's really this time now until the solstice, we are building these foundations, and before we already started with that, we build, or we decide, we discern what we take with us and what not. Remember, I also often talk about Aldebaran, the middle of Taurus, but also the middle of Scorpio, or before that the heads of both the bull as also Scorpio. Yeah, it's about these reflecting mechanisms. Yeah, and to do the self reflection, because we have to clean out, if you want. Yeah, we decide what do we want, what do we take, what do we focus on, and all of that. And if we poison ourselves, or if we face everything and cut cords, also, as I said, we can, okay, I have that, okay, I get it, I know what that wants to tell me, and I thank you. I thank you for this lesson, for this information. I got it. I'm fine now. Thank you. And with that, you let it go. We don't need to try to forget it. How shall we forget something we experienced? No. But we take the scare out of it. And on the other side, we also have to decide how much focus do we put on things we like, and what things are we creating a dependency, or do we say, yeah, I like it, but if I have that or not have it, it's not defining myself. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we shall not like anything or not do what we like, but we have to see how dependent we are on it. So that's the difference. So, and then we with that we go on and we define what we take on with. It's this double-edged sword that often is talked about also in mythical stories, like Archangel Michael, and yeah. So it's that it's on both sides. Yeah, it's not only on the good, not only on the bad. It's also on the good. We have to decide. Yeah. So, and when we try to be as, let's say, empty as possible, when we try to be more blank, and then just choose what let's say frequency we want, let's say more like which feeling, which, yeah, then we draw a blueprint that is much more open, so anything can come. We don't limit it, because if we focus on something specific, we blend everything else out. Yeah, I mean, we can do that. It's interesting too, right? So it depends. That is for everybody decides for themselves, and there is no good or bad, right or wrong in that. It's a decision, and we need to be aware of that decision. And that's it. That's why I tell you about it. So it's really there. We make that decision, and then we shield. This one this way, that one we leave, and this, yeah, we will take it. Yeah. So, and then we go on with the journey. Yeah. And of course, it doesn't end with the perihelion. Yeah. But I wanted to make this emphasis, that understanding of how that works, right? So more about that will come in posts, of course, in written form. I will also put this video a few times, probably into the accessible from the posts that come in the future. So, but yeah, we will go on with other cycles and so on in other videos, but I thought it's pretty important also because I actually had a dream about it. So that was yeah I was running that whole thing. Yeah, I was in Orion, and then I come to the feet, actually to Alhena, and then I had to run up to the heads, but then I also thought I have to go down to Canopus. That's um, the brightest star in the Argon Avis, yeah, and the navigator, right? So I had to inform everybody, and I woke up twice, yeah. And then in the morning, when I really got up, my body hurt badly. So that was a pretty interesting experience. Somehow I think I froze, and so I don't know if you can see any movement, but anyhow, I'm anyway at the end, and I will say goodbye. You know the bottoms, you know, and I will also link my website in the description box, and also where you can tip, donate, whatever, or contact me for if you want to have a reading about your heliocentric chart. So, for now, goodbye, see you next time, bye.